Welcome to the All Metal Mode podcast with your host, Michael Hare. Tune in every Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern with co-host Gypsy Jules, and every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern with Matt Hoffman as we talk to guests, discuss metal detectors, equipment, and everything treasure related. Feel free to join in the discussion in the chat room during the show, and please, if you like what you hear, we'd appreciate you taking a moment to hit that like button and share the link with your friends. We hope you enjoy the show. The All Metal Mode podcast starts right now.
Hello, everybody. This is Mike here, and you're listening to the All Metal Mode podcast. Tonight, we've got Gypsy and Amanda, which I'm sure you'd much rather hear from them than me anyhow. But I'm going to get the show off and going here, up and running. Don't forget, you can find us on Facebook at All Metal Mode, as well as All Metal Mode Podcast UK. All Metal Mode is every Monday and Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And All Metal Mode UK is every Thursday at 8 p.m. GMT time or 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please tell your metal detecting friends about All Metal Mode. You can listen to the show live. You can go out to Spreaker and you can listen on there. You can download it from Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube. There's so many different ways to listen. Of course, if you are listening live, we'd love for you to jump in chat. That's very simple to do. You just click on the bar with the pause and play button and all that, and you'll go right into there's a little chat circle kind of thing. Click on that, and you can go and chat. You do have to sign up for it, but it only takes a second. You can sign up through Facebook and all that, so it's not like you got to create a whole new account or anything. Dirt Digest magazine, September issue is out right now, but as of starting tomorrow will be the October issue. So you might want to check that out. It's a free online metal detecting magazine. Check us out at dirtdigestmagazine.com. We're looking for articles. We're always looking for good articles or and submissions, find submissions. We are starting to get some contests going and stuff. For October, there's we're giving away a Quest X10 metal detector. So make sure you check out the magazine and see how to enter to win for that. Also for like this month of September, we had two contests and somebody's for writers and submitters. So whose ever submission of find submission gets picked as the favorite, they will get a towel, a digging towel, crying towel, like Mr. George Kinsey calls them. And it's a Dirt Digest one, along with a Dirt Digest decal. We only had two articles. We were looking for articles for October for this coming month that were metal detecting paranormal related. We only had two submissions, so they'll both get a towel and a decal, and the winner of that will get a Garrett AT pinpointer. So we're going to keep contests going, looking for find submissions and looking for articles. So we'll keep some stuff going. I can't promise we'll always be giving away a pinpointer and stuff like that, but we are trying to keep it up and give some stuff away to encourage people to submit finds and articles. If you go to our Dirt Digest Facebook group, tomorrow you'll be able to pick the best article, the best find submission, and you will also be able to enter to win the Quest X10. neat little detector. I haven't got out with it yet. I got one to do a review on. Very impressed with how lightweight. It's a 3-piece shaft, so it can be broke down for a small kid. Very interesting detector. I played around with it in the house, just put some coins under it and stuff. Dig the tones, quick response. I'm excited to get out with it, and I'll let you know. That'll be in the November issue. And yeah. Other than that, this month, Amanda, she has a review of the MX Sport in this month. That's a good read. You'll want to check that out. And other than that, we just have some great articles and all that. So, hey, ladies, how's it going?
Going great.
Good deal.
How about you, Amanda?
Doing well.
Amanda also
Awesome.
has some fines submitted too. This month.
Yeah, that a little bit on the different side though, because I was dump digging and I was taking a break from metal detecting. So,
Hey, it still counts.
yeah,
Absolutely. And I'd like to say to any of our old timers listening, or people have been detecting, not old timers, people have been detecting a long time. I am all for submissions that were found even years ago. Please let us know that. But if you go to dirtdigestmagazine.com, there's treasure room submissions. If you want to submit something, you fill out, give us a little background on the finds or find, and you've got a place to upload pictures. But I would love to see some of the, like somebody like George who's found some really killer stuff over the years. I'm okay with it being an older find. Just let us know so we can put it in, so we make sure it's not, we don't want to mislead anybody, and neither do our the people submitting. But it doesn't have to be found in the month or this month or last month or anything like that. So yeah.
Yeah, that would be
I can't wait
interesting.
to
I'd
read.
love to see.
Yeah.
And your
Yeah,
review's really good. You did a really good job on that. I found that really interesting, and I'll tell you, I need a break. It's been a long month. Like, I felt like the magazine, I got it put together really quick for overall, but then there was like a lot of little stuff, and like I was working on it this morning even. I'm just like, oh, I need a break now. So, but I've already got November started, just the very beginning, but looking for articles and submissions, get them in. But yeah, hopefully I'll talk to Mike Fusion and Craig, and I'm hoping we can keep up giving some stuff away, encouraging submissions and writing and stuff. And we will also have some more giveaways coming soon, I know, for our readers. So, I mean, you definitely want to keep an eye out. You definitely want to go out to Facebook and join Dirt Digest Magazine Facebook group. Tomorrow, look for the contest for the Quest X10. So, yeah, good times.
That's
Looking
cool
forward to reading it.
about the giveaway.
Yeah. We have some good ones. We have a couple good ones coming real soon. So, yeah. The X10's big, though. That's way cool. I'm impressed with it build-wise. I haven't even... It's like I'm, I think I was telling you this morning, Gypsy, I go to get out and, like this last week I had to go run, doctor. What's still almost 100 degrees here? I mean, it's in the high 90s.
Right.
And by the time this last week I had to go to the doctor on her day off. And, it's just been like one thing after another. And before I know it, it's like noon and it's like, yeah, it's already 95. This is going to have to wait a little, but I just got it. Too. So, but I'll get it. I'll probably be getting out Wednesday with it for the first time.
Cool.
Yeah, good times.
It's always fun to test out new machines.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna test it out, beat it up, drop it, rub some sand in it, and then we're going to give it away. No, actually, we will have a brand new one to give away. Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
A brand spanking new. George Kenji said it's a great little detector. Use it in all metal. Yeah, George, you and a couple other guys had mentioned they're pretty good detectors. I wanted to give it a try. Cheap little thing. I mean, not cheap, affordable, but straight shaft.
How much
super
does it
run? I forget now. I want to say they're around $200.
Wow.
Yeah. I would have to look that up to verify that, but yeah.
Sounds reasonable.
I'm looking
Cool.
it up now. My computer, I got a new the guys Dirt Digest magazine bought me a new laptop that's just for the magazine now, so like my computer's running pretty all right now. Yeah, $199. You can get a Quest X10. But yeah, so we got a new laptop going and everything. That's exciting. Mike got me a real nice business laptop, and I've got it all set up. So November will be on that one. My computer seems to be running better with everything off of it. I cleared it today, and so this computer will be for the podcast, and the other one will be for the magazine. I think together it was just too much. By the time I get all the pictures, and I've been putting everything onto an external hard drive, but like I was looking at just like the or not the PDF, but the document I built in, or what I built in, and that like October was like 56 megabytes or something alone. That was just
Whoa.
that wasn't the pictures and all that stuff, and so it's Jeff Urie's here. I wonder where Katie is, because Katie, I'm hoping
She's here.
Katie's listening. Oh, is she? Cool, because like I
Yeah,
said, she'll like to hear this. I know she's a little bit concerned about etiquette and stuff, so yeah, good deal.
Awesome. Yeah, so we were going to talk a little bit about metal detecting etiquette tonight, and I know it's a little different. A lot of people that come into the hobby, they always have those questions, what's the proper etiquette, what, some of the do's and don'ts, and I know that some of us do it a little different than Jeff, he says, yes, she needs etiquette. But I know some of us, probably even between Amanda and I, probably do things a little different, so it'll be good to get both of our takes on some things. But feel free, if you have any questions, too, or any suggestions, just drop them in the comments, and we'd love to...
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's kind of funny that this comes up. I just wrote in my first article for November and put it in the magazine, and I guess you could say it's etiquette. Cool. I was talking to a friend the other day, Donnie out of Ohio, which I hope I get to do a little detecting with here soon when I go back to Ohio, but a permission. He's been an arrowhead hunter since he was a little kid. He's in his 40s, and since he was a young kid, and he's had permission for this piece of property forever. Since he was a little kid, and he goes back every year and talks to him. Yeah, no problem. And they remember him. And well, this year he went back, and they said no, and he just was shocked. And he said, "Oh, I understand. What's changed?" And he said, "Well, we had a guy come here, and I believe he's a school teacher. He was at work, and his mom answered the door and said, 'Yeah, it's not a problem.' And looked out a little bit later, and there was a group of guys, not just the one guy that asked permission. There was like 7, 8 guys, and a couple of them were going in the barn and stuff. So she called her son, and he had to come home off from work and run him off. Well, then it gets better. Another guy stopped in and asked to arrowhead hunt, and he said, yeah, but, that's fine, but park, here's where I want you to park. Don't park anywhere else. Park here. And my friend Donnie said he always told him that, to park in the same spot. And even if you had to walk across the street and way across the field, he said, you just do it, because that's what he asked for, right? Well, he went to leave or something, and this guy was parked somewhere else, and he went out and said, hey, I want you to leave. And he said, I'm not done yet. Real smart aleck, and it turned into a whole thing. He said, we're just done. So I'm telling you, these parks that are getting closed down, these people that won't let you on their property, I'm telling you, you better do right, or it's hurting the hobby. It's hurting other people. These deer hunters, these artifact hunters, you got to do right, because it's just hurting anybody that wants access to private land.
Yeah, that is probably one of the number ones with metal detecting etiquette right there, and you said it a lot kind of in that nutshell, is you have to be mindful when you're on someone else's property, or when you're getting permission to go on someone's property, either for the first time or even if you've been there time after time, to respect the owner's wishes. If it comes to parking, and I had one the other day. The lady was like, oh, you can come anytime, come anytime, detect any of my properties, blah, 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 blah. Well, I can't even do that. If someone gives me that permission, I don't do that. I let them know when I'm going to be there, and then I let them know when I'm leaving. I let them, I try to keep that, even if they say, no, you just go right ahead. I still can't bring myself to do that, because, what if someone else saw me metal detecting there and thought, oh, well, that house is vacant or that lot is vacant, and then they just go and they're trespassing without permission, and, next thing you know, somebody's driving by and they call them up, and then they see you can just destroy, permission that way. Another thing is being mindful, when you're on their property, always fill your holes. I was telling Mike today, the property I was at this week, it's been so dry here in Texas, as Mike can tell you, in the heat, just getting out in the heat, detecting, it just zaps your energy and and all that. Well, anyway, I was detecting in this lady's yard, and finally I just had to, say I've got to leave because the ground was these huge little, as soon as you dig the plug, it just totally falls apart in these little chunks of this, I guess dirt clods. And in order to get the hole filled back up properly, I'd have to sit there every time when I would dig a plug. I would have to sit there and use my shovel to break those clods apart, because if I didn't, it leaves this uneven looking hole, and even after a rain, it's just going to look messy and bad, and I want to be able to come back and hunt that property. So I even took one hole. I had a hard time breaking it up, so I took my water bottle that I had with me and poured a little water on top of it to help break some of that and smooth it over, because it was just not going back. So, sorry, I kind of got off on a tangent there, but that's probably one of the biggest things, is being mindful of the people, the property that you're being on, because you can ruin it for others as well. Because the next thing you know, the owner is saying, because I don't know if this happens for any of y'all, but maybe Mike or Amanda, sometimes it's the owner that will be talking to other people with property, and they, if you've shown them good etiquette and really managed and, leaving the property looking well, et cetera, as good as, you found it, et cetera, hauling your trash off, all of that it can help you get more permissions as well.
Yeah.
What do y'all think?
Or I agree with that. Or what they'll do is, they'll say, this is where you can dig, and then after a while of digging there, I've had a permission. The owner was like, I can't even tell you've been here. He goes, where
Right.
you found those treasures right along the line of where I said you can't cross. He goes, you can cross that anytime. So by,
Exactly.
doing right and digging good holes and see, I'm a little of both ways. There's, properties that I have, absolute permission to go to anytime. Some that, the property owners aren't really near at all. And those, I will go
Right.
to at when the sun is coming up, I'll be at, because there's nobody to really bother or, cause the dogs barking or anything like that. But then there's others that, I enjoy actually going in and going, hey, yeah, the crazy girl's here. I'm going to dig the fields for a little bit. I mean, some of those permissions, I learned how to can peaches at one of them.
Oh,
I was able
wow.
to pick bushels of wild blueberries at one. And, some of these permissions, they don't, they're not just property owners. Like they become, I know in my case anyway, they've
Friends.
become friends. Yeah, friends. I
Exactly.
know their entire family. They know mine. It's great. It's kind of community. So that's good in
Uh-huh.
itself too. And they share the word that, especially in some of these areas, the cars go by, trucks go by, they're main roads, and I'm sure people ask questions and, hey, I saw this weirdo on your property. So they do, they tell the stories and, she found this and it was great. And, and it does, it can really open up some new areas. You get to meet new people. And they can really actually
Exactly.
introduce you to some great people too. Uh, History too isn't just in the ground; it's with these people that live there.
Right.
I've been to properties where they don't have a clue; they've just moved there. But then I've been to properties that they have been in their family for 4 or 5 generations.
Mhm.
So
You
they
know,
have the stories too. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, on the other hand, if you mess up and you get caught trespassing or something like that, they talk as well. So whether
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
and
I'm
you don't
sure.
want to put yourself in that position, the farmers, when you're in small communities, people talk, and the farmers all, they'll go get up early Saturday mornings and go have coffee and talk and go do functions together, and you can ruin a whole township or a whole part of a county. I've seen it. I mean, the last county I lived at in Ohio, there was one township I couldn't get permission, and I kept hearing it over and over again. Arrowhead hunter was out there hunting on people's property without permission, getting kicked off.
Mhm.
And I talked to some of the nicest people, but they were just fed up. We just don't, hey, we appreciate you calling. There was one lady I ended up talking to for over an hour about the history and stuff of her property, but she didn't, and I understood. I didn't push it. I know those people are just fed up,
Right.
and there's no sense, but I still enjoyed our conversation. I mean, nobody was upset with me. Matter of fact, I think every one of them thanked me for trying to get permission, but they were just fed up. And I'm not saying that all arrowhead hunters are like that. I mean, there's detectors like that. There's hunters. There's whatever. There's just bad people no matter what. But, trust me, if you think, I'm going to sneak on this property, I can't find out. Well, let the farmers find out, and you're going to regret it, because you're going to be trying to get in other areas over there, and they'll run you off because they talk.
Right. And another thing that happened to me the other day, I went to a local park that I hunt quite often, and I was walking through the park to go down to the river, because I hunt mainly down by the river. And right off the bat, I could tell they must have stepped out of their car and made one straight line, and someone left 3 holes open. And I know the ground is dry, but it just takes a little extra effort to fill that in. I mean, it just made me sick. I had to go or filled each of the holes, because I sure didn't want anybody thinking that I did it.
Yeah.
Have y'all had that issue before?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
because if you're the known digger in the town, or the majority knows that you're the detectorist or whatnot, and then come to, I have had somebody that's, hey, have you been out to so-and-so? I'm like, no, I haven't done that area yet, or it's on the list, and they start sending me pictures of the giant holes with the trash left next to it. I'm like, that wasn't me. I wasn't there. So, having to make a trip. Yeah.
Oh, man. And the dead giveaway, too, is when they leave their trash. That was another thing. The first hole that I saw, there was they left their trash. They didn't take it. They left the fine right there, laying on top, right there by the edge of the hole. I'm like, oh, my goodness. I picked it up, put it in your bag. There's a trash receptor not far, That used to happen to me when I lived in Galveston, and I would be beach hunting, and I would come out in the mornings, apparently, after someone had hit the beach in the morning, and you could see these little holes there. The sand fills it up, but you'd see a pull tab laying. And this would happen over and over, and I'm thinking, this person has got to be the most...
Say it. Say it.
Well, I just... Stupid idiot, because come on, they're probably dug that same pull tab a million times if they're out there every freaking morning, and there's the same beach strip, and they left their pull tab there, and then it's going to get reburied again, and they're digging it again. I don't know. It drove me crazy.
Oh, it drives me crazy. And I'll say this: I see all the time. Not all the time, but I've seen on several occasions where somebody ran into a guy at a park and digging up holes and not filling them in. Well, did you say anything? No, I didn't say. You got to say something. Look, go up and say, look, you must be new because you're doing this. Explain to them. You can do it in a nice way. Not everybody's going to get nasty. Some people just don't know. They don't know right from wrong, unfortunately, and they're new to the hobby and they don't think about it. But that's how parks get shut down. It is. Mm-hmm. So if you enjoy metal detecting parks and stuff, you better say something. You better help them out, because they're hurting the hobby. And they will get the place shut down. I've ran into it. I've never had anybody get mean or nasty or rude, and I'll just tell them, look, hey, this isn't how we do it, and here's why we don't do it this way. Let me show you how to do it. And you don't have to be a jerk, right, but you need to bring it to their attention so it doesn't end up shut down.
I wish I'd seen
him. Right? In Austin, you can't detect the park's there unless, you have a permit, and it has to be, you're looking for a lost item for someone, and you have their name, etc., address, and all that. And it all happened because of some detectors hit a water pipeline, busted it, and left it, and so now the city won't let you over there. Ruined it for everybody. I don't know if they didn't report it or what happened.
They hit a pipeline?
Yeah. I don't know how deep they were digging or what they were doing, but oh goodness. Yep. But they will not let you in the Austin area parks, city parks.
In my head, I'm going, what if you do the X or, you cross over the spot? I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe
you can.
Someone new, right?
I can tell.
It could have been someone new.
More than likely someone new. Someone that just didn't know better. But I mean, you can tell when you've got a pipeline, you just can follow it. It's easy, and it's going to be deep. So I have no clue what happened there, but it did ruin it for everyone in the Austin area. Bill had a good point too, and I do the same thing when I'm hunting. Is a lot of times I will see like a hole that maybe it was a groundhog, maybe it was a squirrel or something like that. I just go ahead and scoot the dirt back over, with my foot or something if there's a little hole there, because I don't want people thinking that I left it. So.
And animals will, like, I guess dogs, skunks, and there's some others. Like if say you do dig a hole, and you put the dirt back, an animal later on will actually dig that hole back open because it's thinking that there might be something there because of the smell. So I often recheck if I'm doing public areas or areas that I know, that I'm not going to get to for a while. I'll go back by and make sure those holes are still closed.
Right. Especially like the other day when the ground is really dry. I know birds and stuff like that will be, and animals, they can sense, when the dirt has been moved and they're sniffing out something, or like the birds looking for worms and stuff, scratching around. So they will. I've seen it done. Even the one, my holes. If the ground isn't moist enough and you can't pack it down well, they will. They'll come back. Those animals will come right back and push that dirt right out. So. Yeah, that's one definite, probably one of the biggest etiquette things is always, be mindful of the property you're detecting on, because you can ruin it for everyone if you're not careful. Another thing is like what we touched on, is taking out the trash. If it is too heavy for me to carry in my bag, what I do is I make a little pile and then get it on my way out. Because sometimes it can get a little too heavy, if you dig some iron or something like that. Or you have so much, you're not near a trash can or anything. Do you have a method that you use, Amanda or Mike?
Yeah, that same thing. At the same time, too, my big fields and stuff like that, I have a backpack. So I will, even if it's really heavy or whatnot, I just consider myself, it's training or whatnot for even better treasures. And I'll put it in the plastic bag and throw it in my backpack and carry it. But yeah, same thing too. I'll find an area that's not, off to the side if it's near walking areas, or, not leaving it in the middle of the field. I'll put it near the wall, and same thing, grab it. If I don't have my bag, I'll grab it when on the way back. 5 horseshoes, 6 horseshoes. Yeah, they could start to weigh down. That and ox shoes. You end up with 10 of them, and some horseshoes and cans, and then the giant iron spikes that sounded really good because they were, 10 inches down.
If I come across deep iron, like big iron at a park or something, I'll just leave it. I'll cover it in.
Yeah.
Because
if it's at
by
a
the
park,
time, by the time
different.
you get it out, you've torn up the the ground so much.
Right,
If
the
I'm in a
dirt,
field,
yeah.
I pack it out. I mean, at least, I mean, there's
Right,
times you
right.
can't pack it all. I mean, if you're way out, and I mean, I've come across spots that are just, I mean, just so much big iron that you can't. I've buried some. I've thrown some in ditches. Well, not. Well, there was. I mean, like I was out in one where there's a ditch way out in the middle of this field, and I put some along there. But you know, I walked back there, and that it was just, yeah, I wasn't messing with that. So, but I'll pack
Yeah,
out as much as I can, for sure.
yeah.
Also, from having a good relationship with one of my permissions, they said, you leave all that stuff, you tell us where it is, and when we're out with the tractors or the trucks, we'll get it. So
Oh, that's nice.
perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, that is perfect.
But they appreciate me getting the metal out of their, cornrows and their fields.
Right,
So,
Mhm.
yeah.
I've buried it deeper, like
keeps
if
me
I'm
from,
way out,
Yeah.
and I'm like
yeah,
filled up or it's too heavy, I'll bury it deeper on a farm. But I mean, I always try to carry it out, but sometimes you get out so far and you got so much stuff and there's so much stuff and you're like, I gotta just bury this, I guess, So it happens.
But I agree. Yeah. If I get the,
yeah,
the big iron, or there's a signal like that in the park, or some area that's public, I'm not digging
yeah. I'm
it.
not going to dig it out either. There's just no way. Yeah.
Or I'll wait
Another
till
thing I
spring and go
do,
out when it's wet.
right?
Yeah.
Another thing that I try to do is when I'm in a park or something, I pick up the pull tabs and the bottle caps that are on top of the ground. It's not only, keeping the park clean or whatever, and, but it also helps us as, the detectors, because, that surface trash, if you're going over it, it can mess up a signal if there's something good underneath. So I just take out all the trash if I can.
No, I agree with that too. I'll pick up the plastic or whatnot. There's a couple
Yeah,
areas,
plastic too.
like before, I have permissions to that are public, and before school starts or things like that, I try to do a quick, I'll go over it and also pick up all the actual trash as well. It looks better,
Right.
Hey, I leave there. I've made probably some pocket change, and and I've cleaned up the area a little bit. So
Right, right. And that way too, if a public figure does pull up and ask what you're doing, you can show them what service you're doing for the city as well. It's just
I have
good all the way
to
around.
say, I did something different this weekend.
Yeah.
So there's an area. There's a lot of areas around me that I constantly dream about. Opportunities aren't always there for them, but this one area, they were actually excavating, and there's a lot of excavation going on around me, but they were excavating it and ripping everything up, and there's this giant tree, and they were there on the weekend, so I stopped and introduced myself and explained, what I was doing and what I hoped to do, and asked if I could detect, and they're like, oh yeah, absolutely, anywhere, except, the machinery, we're going to be stopping that in an hour or two, but we did just clear that whole area over there. And I looked over, and they had cleared this giant area. So I was like, oh, that's great.
Awesome.
But so I took a pause, halfway through, came over, and I found an item that I just really wasn't sure of, and I didn't find just one, but I think I found between 14 or 17 of them, and come to find out they're like tension pulls for like hide, to stretch hide out. And I'd given one to the guy that was running, or that was driving the machinery. Come to find out, he's actually like a project manager for all of these different things going on. So I explained now, I'm like, it would have been, because I found a bunch of items that are kind of broken, and would have been nice to have dug before. And I'm I'm hoping now, I handed over my card and he gave me his card, that perhaps that could lead to like being able to dig some of these areas before they drive the machinery in, as well as midway through. So that was new. I've never done something like that before.
Yeah, that's cool.
So I'll have to keep that on the radar.
Yeah, definitely. I saw one of your pics. I'm just curious. I think you posted, and it wasn't cleaned up yet. I'm curious about your marine-looking emblem thing you found.
That
had a gold gill.
It's not marked. I haven't tested it yet. So it's an Eagle Anchor Globe pin. Yeah, it's pretty neat. Yeah, you're right. I don't think I did post clean up pictures of it yet. But that is an area that I've been digging for a couple years now. So I was kind of surprised at myself that I had it. It was about 5 inches down, and really I should have found it probably a year or two ago. But depended, I guess, on which way I was swinging. And then the next hole was that helicopter. So it was a neat dig. But yeah, I guess it is Marine Corps, Eagle Anchor Globe pin. So, and I don't know too much about it yet.
How old or not yet?
No, I don't. I tried to do a little research. It looks like the older ones have the anchors that are kind of, both ends of the anchor are kind of attached to the globe. This one's not. I'm not really sure. Maybe 80s, like 1980s.
Okay.
I'm not. Yeah, I don't really know. I'm thinking from the Lesney truck I found near it was around, I think that was a 62 or 63. 62, 63, I think, to 67. So yeah, it was probably around that time frame.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be curious to see it. Yeah, if you get a chance, post some photos. I'd love to see, because I think it still had a lot of dirt on it, and I love seeing the finds all cleaned up and stuff. I think that was another thing we were going to touch on etiquette tonight. I'll let you go start that off if you want.
The cleaning items, or the...
Well, kind of...
like the pet...
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I don't know. So, I do know this. All right, how about this? Do you ask, if you're out digging with someone and they found something, do you ask, like, hey, can I hold it? Can I touch it? With items that that somebody else might have found? Like, do you ask, or do you, like...
I don't ever ask.
Just leave it alone?
I just rip it out of their hand and take a look. And if it's silver, I rub it on my shirt real hard. I want to get some really good micro scratches in it for them.
Mm-hmm.
My heart hurts.
I'm kidding. It is. Yeah. I wrote an article about that. When I see people rubbing silver, I'm just like, oh, idiot. Like, I know I shouldn't be like that, but like, I don't know. Why are you even?
I mean,
I just don't get it. The article I wrote was literally wiping the value away, and that's so true. You're wiping the value away. So why? And then I had a bunch of backlash from it. I had people, well, I found it, I can do with it what I want. Yeah, you can, but I mean, it's like picking up a $20 bill and ripping it in half and letting the other half, you're just ruining it. Why? Why do these people all do that? It drives me crazy. Crazy.
It's like taking a silver coin and it's got dirt on it, and if you rub it, that dirt is like sandpaper. It's like taking a piece of sandpaper and cleaning it with sandpaper. It's terrible. Ugh.
Well, I think
Yep.
it's dull. I do sometimes think to each their own. It's their, but if you're taking somebody else's find and you're putting it
Oh,
in your
yeah.
hand, no matter what it is, and all of a sudden rubbing on it and rubbing on it and rubbing, it hurts. Even
Yeah.
Yeah,
watching
I will.
others
I had
do
a
it to others, yeah.
Yeah, you don't
yeah,
do
I
that.
had a
You could. I mean,
friend.
it's okay to ask somebody if you can see their find, but don't go rubbing on it and spitting on it and doing all that silliness. Like, just don't. That's a whole
Because
bad thing.
it's the find itself is awesome. It's a find. It's crazy. And then you've got that time where it's like, if you can't tell right off the bat, you've got like your that's another like treasure hunt for you, is cleaning that up to see what it might be. So in my mind, it's twofold. It's like, yeah, you dug the treasure, but then it's, possibly that you have another treasure hunt to figure out what it is. And when someone else takes it, it's like,
When they take
oh, that's
that
this.
thrill away.
I mean, don't get me wrong. If somebody else
Well,
can identify it in that shape, tell me. That's fine. I have
right.
no problems with that. But if you're the one that's taking the dirt off it and goes, oh, it's just blah blah blah, and tosses it back at you, like, no, that's no, thank you.
Right. That's a whole different etiquette right there you're talking about. I mean, you have to be mindful of the person that you're digging with. You know, it's their find to do what they want to with it. Of course, yeah, if they ask for your help, and helping identify it, or if you ask to hold it, it just happened to a friend of mine once, and they were, I've never seen somebody so upset. This was, I think this was in Galveston as well, and someone had found a ring, and the person asked to see it, and they're sitting there messing with it, and the stone was a little loose. Well, of course, the stone fell out. The person, they lost the stone, and it was just so upsetting for the person that found it. Just be mindful of your metal detecting friends, and respect. It's their find, what they want to do it, how they want to clean it. I mean, sure, yeah. If they ask for your help on that, or identifying it, that's it's a little different. But I take it that this might have happened to you before, Amanda.
Yeah, it has.
Maybe.
Yeah, in the past.
Anything you want to share?
No, not really.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just one of those deals that it happens, and you do see it time to time if you go out in the big hunts, and happen to others. So I'm not sure if I'm the only one that a little ping in my heart goes, oh, no, don't do it. Don't rub it.
Right.
And then they do, or, yeah, you can see this, and, oh, here, and then you hand it over, and all of a sudden the scratching starts on it, and it does. It takes your breath away, like, what are you doing? And it might, the people that do it just might come out of, like, habit of actually finding their own finds and doing it, but it's one of those things of being mindful, and maybe it shouldn't matter, and maybe it's silly, but yeah, that's how I honestly feel about it. So
yeah, I get it. I've had a few things happen to me that like that before. Someone had asked to see something, and then by them messing with it, they busted it, or it's already sometimes a fragile relic, or something that needs special care and needs to be put away special and cleaned a special way. And we want to preserve that object in the best way possible. But if they're just like sitting there fiddling with it and rubbing on it with their fingers and etc., it's yeah. I've had it happen to me a few times as well.
I can't remember
What?
who it was or who I was with. It's been years. But I was with a couple other guys, and one of the guys found a piece of bent copper, and it had design on it and stuff, but what exactly it was now, I don't recall. I want to say it might have been like a shoe buckle, and the other guy was messing with it and trying to bend it back and snapped it in half. Like, yeah, don't go messing with other people's stuff. Like, if they ask you, and then tell them, hey,
if they ask you,
this might break. I mean, well, and really, you should just wait and heat it if you want to do all that and stuff.
Right.
But yeah, like, snap, like, it happens. But you don't want to go messing with other people's stuff. Yeah. And Amanda, I don't know why, like, I get it, but if that happens again and somebody, tell them, hey, don't, I don't know, like, as a guy, like, I have no problem, like, hey, that's mine, get off of it, quit, I mean, I'll educate somebody, but you're not going to go twisting on mine or wiping my silver and stuff, no deal.
Well, now, now I'm more comfortable, so I probably could be like, hey, now.
Mm-hmm.
5 steps away. You put my relic down.
Right. And I agree, each their own. Like, if somebody wants to rub their own silver, whatever. I was just trying to educate why you don't want to do that, and I couldn't believe the blowback I got on that. Like, okay, well, I agree. I don't understand the whole mentality. I found it, I'll do with it what I want. Yeah, but how much time and effort and work did you put into finding that just to wipe it and put all those scratches in it? Like, why? Why even, like, I get that it's yours to do with it what you want, but why would you want to do something so stupid? Don't do it. There's just no need for it. It just, I don't know. People drive me crazy sometimes with that stuff. Mm-hmm. And that's not a far drive.
Yeah.
Ask Gypsy. It's not a far drive.
Jeff had a good point. He said, here's a tip for the seasoned pros when detecting with newbies. Don't patronize. Don't throw something on the ground or bury something so that the new guy finds it. He says it's happened to him a couple of times and made him so mad. I used to get so upset when these idiots would be, when I was detecting on the beach. That's why I really didn't like detecting on the beach when there was hardly any. Like to go out early in the mornings or late in the evenings. Is people would see me out there detecting and start throwing coins out in front.
Oh my goodness.
Like, you idiot.
Yeah, I don't like people sometimes. I really don't.
But yeah, I get it, Jeff. That's terrible.
Another thing, now I heard this one, like, if you're a female, well, usually it's females, let's just call it, and you hunt with your husband and he finds a silver Tiffany ring, you don't wrestle him to the ground, beat on him, and steal it. I'm not saying that happened, Amanda. Or not Amanda, Katie. But, I'm not saying it was Katie that did that to Jeff or anything, and I'm definitely not saying that's the story Jeff told me and sent me a picture of his black eye to prove it. That's not where I'm going with this. I'm just saying, yeah, you shouldn't steal jewelry that's not yours, rip it out of your husband's hand and demand that he gives it to you. That's all I'm saying. I don't want Katie to get upset and think that that's what Jeff told me and showed me pictures of his black eye or anything, but I'm just saying. Yeah. It happens. It's funny to me when women see jewelry, they just instantly will snatch it out of your hand. So you definitely got to be.
Snatch it.
Does your boyfriend or husband?
My mom has taken a lot of my jewelry finds. So.
Did you give them to her? Or did she snatch them out of your hand though? Because there is a difference.
She didn't quite snatch them, but I found this mother's ring, and she's sitting there looking at it, and she's going, "There's this gold mother's ring, and it has the different birthstones in it. One of those." And she's like, "Oh, well, that stone that's like yellow topaz. That's your birthstone, and that's your brother's birthstone, and then that's my brother's birthstone, and this is." I'm like, "Hey, Mom, you can have it."
Right. That's funny.
No, I probably gave it to, I don't even remember. But no,
now she's changing her tune. She's like, "Oh crap! I hope Mom's not listening." She's changing
her story.
I hope Mom's not. I better back this up a little bit. I better twist around a little bit. Mm-hmm.
But my youngest son did that not too long ago. I came in with a ring find that I'd found in the river, and he was like, "Hey, Mom, can I have that one?" And it's just a plain like stainless steel band. I gave it to him, but not too long after that, I found it in the floor of his room. So I took it back.
Typical kids.
Right. He just turned 16, so.
Or Katie, next time let him keep it. And then perhaps he'll bring it to a jeweler, get it cleaned up, make sure the stone is set really well, have it sized to your finger, and then give it back.
Jeff said, seriously, she picked it up out of the sand before I could get to it, turned her back, and told me it was a pull tab. Women cannot resist jewelry. I don't care how tomboy or whatever, like women see shiny bling, and they can't help it. I don't know. Like,
I love finding the jewelry, I really do, and I love finding the ornate things and stuff like that. But I'm actually wearing right now my first silver ring that I found with my first Garrett metal detector. It was actually my second ring I ever dug. But I wear it a lot, but I don't usually. Sometimes I'll find a ring that I really like, and I'll wear it for a while, and then I'll just end up putting it in my case after I get tired of it. But this one is my go-to ring that I still wear, that I found. But yeah, us girls, we do have that weakness. I can't help it. I like finding the bling.
I've had a couple rings twisted out of my hand, and. Yeah, true story. True story. Have you done that, Amanda? Have you done that, Amanda?
No, I have not actually.
I find that hard to believe, but I guess we'll believe you.
I find my own.
Did you wear?
I gotcha.
Right, you find your own jewelry.
No, he did. He found a beautiful ring that was right before I think I started detecting, and he did. He brought it to a jeweler and made sure the stone was set in it and had it sized and gave it to me. And
so you
I
knew
started
you were
digging.
So you knew you were getting it
no,
anyhow.
I didn't. He didn't post pictures or anything like that or tell me about it. And
you didn't drop a single hint or anything.
No, I didn't know he had even dug a ring.
Gypsy? Really, Gypsy? Are you buying this?
But it didn't matter because within 2 months, it was so fragile from being in the ground so long that even though they fixed it and sized it and made sure the stone, I lost the stone and then it cracked in half.
Oh no!
So it was one of those. This is an awful you shouldn't. When you do find those ornate pieces that are relatively old, it probably is best in a display than on the hand of a digger.
Right.
Because nothing lasts long.
Ouch.
Yeah, well, I end up taking my ring off, when I detect anyway. I don't wear any, occasionally I wear my necklace, but I got to wear, I don't wear any jewelry when I don't like to wear jewelry when I'm metal detecting. So too rough on it.
should have
And then,
done that.
oh
Oops.
yeah, or then you have the
Yeah.
beginners that, you know, I've been out detecting with people that have detected, you know, it's their first time, and they're like, they didn't take their rings off, and they're sitting there, oh, look, they're taking the pinpointer, look, it's in my hand, and I'm like, no, you got a ring on. Or they're, you know, moving the clump across the, you know, coil, and they forgot that they have their ring. Or their bracelet or watch is still too close to the coil. I think I have it in my hand.
Yeah, see, I've done that, but not. So I have a silver toe ring, and I was doing the beach in the water detecting, and didn't realize.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I kept picking up my own foot. Yeah, it was smart.
Funny.
It's kind of like the.
Yeah, we've all.
That's funny.
I think
yeah.
Beginners are at some time we've all made a mistake in some way, either wearing a watch, a ring. You know, I have a lot of beginners that I'll be out detecting with, and they're like, they'll take the shovel. They think that, or they'll have the shovel too close to the coil, and it'll go off. And they're like, oh, I found something. I'm like, no, that's the shovel. And constantly, you know, you have to remind them. The shovel, it's all made, it's all going to be detected by your detector there, so that's not a real signal.
That's
you know what I mean?
Yeah, like when actually too was if your coil wire's loose and kind of hanging down near the edge too, it can cause falsing. See, I've had that, where the Velcro let go and I didn't realize, and I looked down and I'm like, oh, that good signals my wire. All right, guess I need to tighten this up a bit. So that's the thing I do too now each time is make sure my Velcros are tight and the coil, the wire is strung pretty good.
Right. Yeah, that's definitely another thing. I think we've all had that issue, I'm sure, from time to time. Forget to check the connectors and stuff. How about anybody in the chat?
Looks like steel toe boots.
Maybe any questions? Yeah.
Yeah, steel toe boots are horrible. I've had that happen. Like go after work or something and have your steel toe boots on. I mean, you can do it, but it's like as each swing, it's like you'll get a little chatter and stuff, and it's like, oh man.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Bill said also clean out your coil covers.
Yes. Especially if you've been detecting on any kind of beach.
That is something I did not know when I had first started and couldn't figure out from going to the beach to another area why in the world my detector was acting so funny. Yeah, it was full.
But if it's falsing, keep that, and the next time you're out with your hunting buddy, stick it under their coil. That's always a fun trick, if you can get away with it. Yeah.
So another pet peeve of digging with other people is the tricks they will pull.
Well, I really wouldn't do that, honestly. But I don't know. I was sitting here trying to think of what I could do to convince Gypsy, like if you find something that's not special, to grab it out of your hand and rub it all over her pants or something. But I know better. She just wouldn't do it for me.
I don't want to make an enemy when I go meet Amanda.
Right.
I don't want to make
enemy, but
it wouldn't make me mad. It makes me want to cry. It's a total difference.
Oh, then don't do it then. That's true. I wouldn't want to make you cry. Yeah.
It's Gypsy, like one of those
Gypsy's mean. Well, she's
you get like that lump. Yeah, you get that lump in your throat. Like, what are you doing? I guess it hasn't progressed to anger yet. I haven't seen it enough to be angry about it.
Mm. Well, Katie had a good question. She said, when you go detecting with someone to a spot or permission, how do you define who detects where, or do you define that? A lot of the times, if I'm detecting with someone, I'll offer them, hey, where do you want to start? Do you want to start on that side of the yard? If it's a yard, I'll start on this side. Or, I'll let, offer, because if I'm doing also, again, it depends on what kind of area you're covering. If you're covering a field or a property, I think that makes a big difference as well. But I usually offer the person I'm hunting with. I try to be mindful of them, and see what areas they want to hunt first. Like, for instance, if I'm hunting a yard, you could always, if there's a sidewalk down the middle that divides, the yard, you could say, hey, you want to hunt one side and I hunt the other. Which side do you prefer, etc. For me, I prefer hunting, along the edge of the sidewalk and the where people, when they get out of their cars first, the little strip there, if there's a strip of grass, stuff like that. But
well, and I think if somebody took you there, you should let them pick where they want to be. And I think also, I think, Katie, not only is this a good question, it kind of opens a can of worms, because, I think if somebody takes you somewhere, you got to go by their rules, and you should have some, I know guys who, they keep everything, and if their agreement is if they find something worth, like, say, over $1,000, they split it. I don't want to do that. I think it can create problems, and I don't want to do that. But I mean, at the same time, I hope they find something worth over $1,000. If I take you someplace, it's you keep what you find, I'll keep what I find. But you need to know those kinds of things. But yeah, I think if somebody takes you somewhere, then you need to let them decide, or you need to ask them. And I think that's a really good question. And
and I think another thing is bottom feeding. It's not proper etiquette if they're popping silver in one area and you're not in the area that you've already. Good for them. Maybe you chose the wrong side of the property or the wrong area to hunt, but you just never know. And you don't want to go over there and start. I've seen people do it. Their buddies over here digging silver. Well, I'm going to go hunt right beside where they're hunting and infringing on their little area there. It's not very nice.
What are y'all's thoughts? If I brought someone to a spot and say they drove to the area, drove to meet me in my own area, or we met in a further area, and I get on an area that is a hot spot, and I am pulling, this, that, and the other, it's just phenomenal. And there is a lot of location. I'm going to be the first to go, hey, Gypsy, Gypsy, are you finding anything where you are? Come here. But yes, with the whole defining the area, I agree with setting, like you had said, with the area, and yes, yep. But I have noticed. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. No, you go.
Yeah, no, I mean, lately it has been like I've just gotten on areas where I am and it feels great to share, like, come over, and then we in turn, but the both of us are finding awesome stuff, and or the multiples that are with us, like it's awesome. And I guess I don't.
Right.
I don't know.
And that's different.
That's
okay,
great.
you're hunting
Yeah, but yeah, exactly. I if
it's different.
and I might do
different...
that. Yeah, I might do that too, but like until I do that, you stay over on your side, like I mean
Yeah.
if I didn't call you over, not cool, man, not cool. But yeah,
and a lot of times too, the different detectors can also, like, you're going to end up causing each other to pick up the signal. You're going to be,
you don't want to get too close to them.
Yeah. I mean, that's how they run you off at the beach up here, is if you're in their area, they come over with their detector and they'll run it over yours, so that way it blows your ears out.
Wow, that's really wrong.
Wow.
Huh.
But
that's crazy.
But at the same time, like you said, I mean, let's just say you were hunting a yard, and you chose one side and they chose the other, and after you've hunted that, swap sides. There's nothing wrong with it. I think it's good, like you said. I mean, they're using a different machine. You got a different set of ears. You got, different techniques. You're going to find stuff that the other missed as well. So be sure and not think, oh well, that's hunted out, even if you've gridded it every which way. I think it's good to swap sides or something like that. But yeah, if you're out digging a field and all of a sudden one of us, hits an iron patch and we know that, we should pick through that, it's like, hey, I would definitely, done it before. You holler over, hey, Amanda, come on over and check this area out. I had a spot over here.
Yeah, that's always nice. Years ago, I was hunting with some guys. And here's a great story, I think. And I found this little hot spot, and I'm pulling silver coins out left and right. And they both came over and started hunting around me and like even cutting me off. And it was a joke. They were common silver. It wasn't like being rude. I mean, not in this case. They were real. We knew we weren't going to be finding real old silver. They were joking around, and it wasn't like they were doing bad, but they still couldn't find silver. Like they were cutting me off. They were hunting all around me. And I still, like, I had found like 5 up to that point, and I ended up with like 12 or 13 in like the next half an hour, something like. It's been years, and I think one of them had found like 1. But they started to get frustrated. Like the one time one of the guys cut me off. Like, I mean, literally, I had to stop. And we were kind of laughing about it. And he walked by, and then I hit right in front of it. And I'm like, serves you right. Serves you right, and we were just having fun. But yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. That's not a good thing. And if somebody's hitting stuff, let them hunt their side. That's their side. And of course, if they invite you, drop everything you're doing and run over there right away. No, not even. But then you can. Then you can hunt it, and if you want to, you should. But yeah, don't cut people off and stuff. That's no good. I've got a Bob that used to do that started the podcast with me. He was, I don't recall now where he was, but they were in a field and they'd like picked their lines, and he said I was walking right towards a tree at the other end of this field. And I stayed, I kept looking up, and he said the guy, I think on the left side of him, kept inching over and over and over. Like they were at different parts of the field, like he was ahead of him. And I'm sure the guy didn't do it on purpose, but he ended up in front of Bob and ended up finding, if I remember correctly, a War of 1812 button. but like it always bothered him that happened. He's like, I felt like that, I would have found that, and things happen though, but it was kind of a funny story. So yeah, try to stay on your side and your area. And I agree. I think I'm not sure which one of you earlier said, choose sides and then flip sides if you want or whatever, but stay on your side. I was just recently talking to a buddy about that, and he was saying how him and his hunting partner, they'll go to a house site and he feels like they feel rushed. And I said, well, stay on your side. Pick sides and do that. And then you when you're both done, then you can, that's a good idea. Because you definitely don't want to, upset your hunting partner, Am I talking to myself?
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
No, I totally agree. I mean,
or dig by yourself.
Yeah, or just go dig by yourself. You're not going to offend anyone. But then another thing with the proper etiquette, probably one that I get asked the most, and I know we've talked about this a few times on the show. Probably Mike and I have, and maybe you and I have even discussed it a little, Amanda. But I think something that's important, like we were talking about, being mindful of the property, but being mindful of the property owner's wishes. I know, Amanda, you end up eventually giving all the fines back to the owners. But I know there's been times where I'll offer fines to the owners, and they don't want them, which is fine, of course, by me, but I try to offer the stuff as often as I can if I can tell that, when I'm showing the fines to the property owner. But, I try to offer as much as I can to them. But then you also get those permissions where they're like, go out there, that's fine, and then they don't care. They don't want, the fines. They don't ask you. And then I've had also the property owners that are standing over you wanting to see everything. Now that gets, I don't like that at all. Have y'all had that happen ever? Or anyone in chat?
Gypsy, you've heard my story about that, haven't you? About the guy that literally kept running into my back?
No,
or
I
my
haven't heard
shoulder,
that one.
and then
Tell me.
so I finished hunting. I don't care if somebody wants to hang out and watch me from a distance,
Right.
come over when I dig. That I don't care, but he was like literally running into my shoulder, my back and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I think I'm done. And, before I got out of there, we had like a roughly an hour conversation about aliens and how he dug something that aliens implanted into his arm and all kinds of good stuff.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was interesting. So yeah, I don't. That's one of the reasons I don't like doing yards. I'm telling you, like, you could take like a city block and be like, Mike, we need you to go pick the craziest, weirdest people, and I'll be like, be right back. Watch
you
this.
would pick them.
Watch this. Yeah, because that's me. I will pick the craziest people, and I've had people like, oh, you can keep whatever you find, and then you show them, and then they want it all and stuff, and then I don't care other than
Yeah, I've had that happen to me
don't
before.
tell me,
Yeah.
like, I'll be honest, I'll give it to you, but I don't like when they do that to me at all.
Yeah, I don't like that either when they say, oh, you can keep anything you find, and then you show them, and then they're like, they want it all. But
and that's one of the things too.
It's hard.
If they start off the conversation with, "Oh, you're not going to find anything. You can keep whatever you do end up finding." Yep.
Right, and then you go find that big cache. And they're like, I think Katie had the question. Do you show the property owner all your fines. I think that's where you have to just kind of, it's up to you, the person that's, how you hunt. Like in Amanda's case, most of the time she eventually, displays it and gives it back to the owner. And for me, it just kind of depends.
Yeah, I have a couple permissions that, they don't care. And I will, if they're around, I'll show them what I found that day. A couple others, they don't care at all. They don't care when I'm there. They're like, oh, if we see you out there, we know you're out there. Oh, okay. But then there's some historic areas that I have permission to dig, and it is, the deal is everything goes back, and I am absolutely okay with that, because the longer these items are in the ground around here anyway, especially some of these old farms that, the town was established in the 1600s, we want that stuff out. And it's also been in their families forever. So, I have no problem. And at the end of the year, they'll let me hold on to it till the end of the year, so I can put it all together to display. And it paints awesome picture of this was this year's layer, and next year I'll go back and there'll be a whole new grouping of finds. So at least that's the case for 3 big properties that are historic that I've been digging.
Right.
And
I think
that's
a
deal.
Difference too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's a deal I made at the beginning. Yes.
Exactly.
Yep.
And I think that's the most important thing. That's what I try to do when I go to a property, is I try to feel them out first, talk to them about the property, etc., and then feel them out and see if they're going to, if they're like what you said, oh, keep whatever you find, or if they want to see all the finds, like you can tell the ones that are like, oh, I want to see what you find, or, that kind of thing, because, and I'm sure it's a lot different from fields. I don't get the opportunity of hunting many fields, so most of the time I'm hunting properties where it's a yard, and kind of like Mike said, I would much rather be hunting in the woods or in a field than where the property is no longer there, because most of the time, because if you're hunting a property and then, okay, it's kind of like what we were talking about earlier, you dig this beautiful gold ring, and if you're going to show it to the owner, that's when I try to ask the owner in the beginning, hey, did you ever, anybody lose any jewelry, or you kind of get a feel for it, because, the wife or someone of the owner of the property sees that piece of jewelry, whether they lost it or not, they're like, oh, let me put that on my finger. Let me try it, even if, it wasn't theirs, or that they didn't lost it, or it wasn't a family heirloom or something.
Or they had memory lapse that they lost, a 10-carat diamond ring out in the yard.
Right. I think I remember losing a ring that looked different.
Yeah, I'm weird. Like, I am all for giving stuff to the property owners, but I'm not into making them money. You know what I mean? Like,
right, exactly.
I just, I've had people that they're really into history. They love the history of their property. They know the history. I'll give them everything. I don't care. Like, good, display it and keep it with the house. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have people like, what do you find valuable stuff? I want it all. Well, I don't want to detect your yard. I don't know. You get people that like that, and I'd rather not hunt their yard than, and it's not about selfish and I need it all. It's just, no, I'm not going to find, I do this for the history and not to, it's the whole attitude thing, like, I don't know. I don't even want to mess with people like that. So, But I think, I think that's a tough question. I mean, now if you have a deal worked out with them where they get everything, then absolutely you show it to them and you give it to them.
Right.
But if you find something valuable and the people never said, they said you can keep it or they don't, do you show it to them? I don't know. What's your lady's thoughts on that? Because I think that's a really tough one.
What do you think, Amanda?
I think my conscience would probably drive me nuts.
Bother you? Yeah.
See, I know how people are, though. I'll give you a good example. I was in a yard one time, and the guy said, "You can hunt my yard," and hey, my neighbor's out. He'll let you hunt. And hey, John, you mind if these guys metal detect your yard? Matter of fact, we were hunting in a park, and this guy called us over there. We didn't knock on his door or anything like that. No, you guys can hunt, and everything was good. And I just had a feeling, he was going to pull something, and he was sitting there watching us. Well, I ended up digging a big British copper, like from the 1930s. I'm not talking old copper. But I'd never dug one, and I put that in my other pocket, and I just thought, I want to keep that. And I got a feeling when this is all said and done, he's gonna swipe this stuff, and that's fine, but I'm gonna keep this. And sure enough, that's what happened. And so, do I feel bad about that? No. He said we could have everything we want, everything we found. And I just had that suspicion because it'll happen quite a bit. People say, yeah, fine. And then you show them what you found, and they're all of a sudden, ooh, I want that, and it's like, well, you go right ahead. But so I don't feel bad. I had a guy, do that to me once. I'd found some silvers, and matter of fact, I'd found a $50, silver $50. I think it was, I'm trying to remember which half. I think it was just a walking half. But he, all of a sudden he wanted everything. So, you're talking about conscience, and I get that, but where's their conscience? You know what I mean?
True.
And
I
think
true.
a lot of the time it boils down to those people that don't really understand. They think that it's some of those people that, like what we were talking about earlier, oh yeah, you can go detect that, but you're not going to find anything. And then as soon as you find something, it's like, oh, you found something? Well, let me see,
Yeah.
And I think that part of it is, their ignorance and their mentality and not knowing enough about it. And that's why it's always good to get to know the property owner, a little better before, if you can, and build that, that trust and that rapport first with that person. What do y'all think?
Yeah, I think that's good too. At the same time, too, I mean, that deal making at the beginning is huge. And I know even in the ones that I do have that are historic and that I do give back, there is a deal that the minute I find something that is worth considerable amount, that it would be one of those, it would be a split. We do a 50-50.
Now, what are you going to do when you go to do a split and they want it all? Well, you found that in my yard. Because that is most like people are, I'm not saying don't do it.
Greedy.
But I think you show the majority of people, and all of a sudden, what was your little hobby turns into that came out of my yard. That's mine. I'm kind of, maybe it's not right, but I'm more about, what they don't know doesn't hurt them. I mean, to some extent, I'm there looking for relics anyhow. I'm there looking for history. I'm not looking for valuable. But I don't know. I'm weird about that because I know how people are in some of the situations I've been in. I don't know. I mean, fortunately, I've never found anything valuable on anybody's property, but boy, I
There's
don't
always
know.
a
I've
chance
thought
you
about
might.
this. Yeah, I mean, I think.
Well, I think we've all thought about this, and then I think, depending on the property owner and what agreements you had before, that's where sometimes, like you said, Mike, they can change their mind. And unfortunately, if we don't have a written agreement, which I don't do written agreements, like Mike Fusion just said in the comments, would you show the property owner if you found a gold coin? That's a big question. It's most of us, you would be scared to show them because you'd be afraid that they would want to.
Years ago, I talked to a guy, and some of the details are fuzzy here, but a guy that just started at his work knew that his dad or grandfather, somebody in the family, had buried coins and stuff on the property. He found a couple silver coins, and the guy, oh man, that's so cool, ran in the house. I'm going to go wash this up real quick. And he's like, okay, just rinse it off. Don't go rubbing it and stuff. And he'd come back out and he didn't have the coin, and they'd found, and then I think, boy, details are fuzzy, but I think he'd found a jar of silver coins, if I remember right. And the guy's like, oh man, that's so cool. I'm going to go in the house and open them. And he kept detecting for a few minutes and stuff. And if I remember right, he went and knocked on the door and he wouldn't answer and told him to leave his property. And then the guy quit work, didn't come back to work. And, they'd had a deal worked out and everything else. And this guy turned around, so I don't have a lot of faith in people, and, I don't know. I think, I'll tell you, as somebody I think that has a pretty good moral compass, I think in that case, that's for you to decide on your own, and that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's up to each how you feel about it. I mean, I haven't been burned yet. Maybe my mind will change if that happens. I mean, I have had a permission that did say that I could keep everything that, and they just want to see. And I have found big, giant, I forget how many grams it was, but a thick gold, 14 karat men's wedding band, and brought it up and was this, anyone in the families? And nope. I said, no, if you want it, nope. We don't want it. Oh, okay. So, I mean, it could also be the areas as well, I guess, maybe, or the people. I'm sure there's still people out around here that would, easily grasp it up and say, I think in that case, if I had a verbal agreement with someone where they said I could keep everything, or, something along those lines, and they broke that verbal agreement, I would honestly say, I'm sorry, I'm not coming back here again. Like, the agreement was X, Y, and Z. Or, I don't think I'd want to see them again. Yet at the same time, do you go back there and then the next thing you know, you're pocketing everything? So I know that if that was the case, it wouldn't make me feel very good. So it would probably be one of those things. I'm sorry, but I can't, I'm not going to detect your property anymore, which I guess I would lose out, but I don't know. Yeah, it's one of those difficult things that, do you pocket it and keep quiet, or do you show and have it taken, or do you show and get told, I don't want that.
Well, if it's an agreement that they get everything on their property, then yeah, they get everything on their property. If
Mhm.
if they're like, no, you get whatever, whatever you find, just keep it. We're not into history or whatever else. I'm probably not going to show them if I found something of value or something like
Right.
that. But if there's an agreement, they get everything. I knew the agreement going in, and I'm going to stick to that agreement no matter what,
Yeah.
because that's the
Right.
right thing to
Right.
do.
That's the right thing to do.
Yes.
Exactly.
But
And that's,
if
I
you're
think
allowed to,
that's the key to all this is whatever agreement you make in the beginning should be what you agree to. And then unfortunately, we do have property owners from time to time that,
break that
I've
agreement.
shown them my finds, and then all of a sudden they're like grabbing, out of my hand, and then the next thing you know, they're just holding on to it, and I'm like, I guess they're not giving it back. They wanted that. But, it happens occasionally, but hopefully most of the time they'll be fair. But like Bill said earlier, money and gold makes people crazy sometimes. Greed. It's sad. And a lot of times when I've said it to property owners, I'll say it in a joking way sometimes when I said, but if I hit it big, we're going to split it 50-50. And they'll go, oh, yeah.
I've done the same thing, Gypsy. When I go out there and I find that gold, those gold coins, and
yeah. When they start,
exactly.
I mean, how many times have you been detecting at a park or somewhere? I've been at people's houses and their neighbor says that, find anything, we split it. And what I do is I always keep my trash separate than my good stuff, and I'll grab a handful of trash. Here's your half, and I'll chase them down. Like I will, because I get so. How many times? I bet I've heard that 1,000 times or more. Literally, I'm at a park or a school, or the neighbor comes out or something like that, and we split everything you find. Yeah, okay, here's your half.
Yeah, they're saying it in a jokingly way. I know it gets annoying.
Right.
Or they'll say, whatever you find is my, I lost, or, they.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you find that gold ring, it was mine. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Well, here's all this trash you lost. Get your pockets ready.
Yeah. Right.
Mm-hmm. So, in chat, do we got any more questions? Are we keeping up with questions? Oh, I can't even see questions now because there's been too much.
Mike, I would have cried if that was the case.
What's that?
He says he knows a guy that found some big pennies in the field. The property had been in the family since day one. So he cleaned them up, put them in a display case, and gave them to the farmer, and then found out the farmer sold them. So that's something I do too. If it's not a historic property and it is a place I have permission, but they did want everything back and it is relatively older, that's something I say. If you're going to sell, please call me first. And obviously they have my number, or I leave my card again, because I can't imagine having stuff I've dug up and presented back being sold. Yeah, to anybody. If you're going to sell it, at least give me the option of purchasing it.
Right.
I mean, it's kind of silly to hear, okay, I dug it up, I spent the time, the effort, the research to do that.
And they're selling the stuff
to just buy it.
At the time to go, right?
But even I know it does sound funny too to say, hey, I'll buy it back, but yet at the same time, if that was, that was the deal.
If that's the situation, yeah.
Yeah.
I would definitely, want first dibs.
And
if I dug
it. The same thing too. I've had a couple that said, I'm going to go give this. I'm going to give it to, this museum or that. And And I always advise them, definitely, consider loaning it, or definitely talk to the different museums or historic societies before you give it, because there's a good chance, it might not ever be displayed, or, just get to know them, get to know the different, I guess, nonprofits or whatever they are out there, museums. But yeah, that's something I definitely say before I give things, if it isn't a property that I've worked for forever, is if you are contemplating selling this at any time, please let me know. Can I have first dibs on getting those back? So
yeah, definitely.
See, Jeff wants to know, is it tacky to go up to a detectorist in a park to ask them what settings they're using? What?
No, not at all.
No, I don't think so. No.
No, I mean, if I see
Thing
another
you might want to
detectorist,
consider,
I'll go talk to him.
I always, talk to them, yeah. I've had some that may not want to talk. They kind of look at you funny, like you're on my territory, get away. But most of the time, I just walk over there and chat and chit chat, and yeah, there's nothing wrong with that at all.
They never talk to me, so.
They don't?
No, there's only been one I've ever seen detecting in the area, and I did go up and tried to have a conversation, and he pretended like I didn't exist.
Are you serious?
So I shouted at him. I said, "I have the same headphones. I know you can hear me." And walked away.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
He didn't want to talk to you?
No, it was one of the very first detectorists I've seen in the area, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, there's somebody else doing this!" And I did. I went up, and it's all right. It wasn't a big deal, but it was definitely made for a story. Especially
you must
since
be
they
scary.
really were
you must be
same.
intimidating or something.
No,
yes, my huge permagrin.
What it could very well be, and I've had this happen to me, is a lot of people think since we're here, don't get mad at me, Mike, but a lot of people, don't take women detectors as serious sometimes. I had people that I used to meet up with on the beach, and they would act like, they didn't want to, talk to me, or finally when they did, they would be like surprised that I found what I found, that day, that however, once they finally talked to me, they thought I was just some, I don't know, unexperienced or whatever, out there on the beach, didn't realize how serious of the detectorist I was. But I mean, I've had that happen to me a few times. Jeff said he was too shy to talk to girls. But yeah, could have been the case. You never know. But yeah, I've had that happen to me before, and I don't know. Maybe I'm assuming too much.
I would have asked his settings, but he pretended I didn't exist. And Mike, I don't think I'm scary, but if you,
I'm kidding. No. I was kidding. Was he young or old or?
No, probably middle age. Probably like maybe 5 or 10 years older than me. Not too much. Not old.
Wow, what a jerk! That's well, a lot of detectors are some pretty odd birds, including me. I'm not judging. I know but that's real odd. Like. Come on, man. Seriously, you can't say hi. I don't think I've never had a detectorist that didn't stop. And I get aggravated. I've been somewhere and a lot of people want to come up and talk to you and stuff. And that can be aggravating, but
take up your
I
time.
always look
Yeah.
forward to talking to a fellow detectorist. You know, I mean, that's worth stopping and
Me
talking.
too,
Yeah.
right? But that used to happen more on the beach than anything. Even in Florida, I had that happen while visiting in Florida. You would see maybe 2 or 3 detectorists, you know, or more on the beach in one time during the day sometimes, and you could wave at them. You'd be close enough to even say hi sometimes, and I had a few just totally ignore me, act like I wasn't even there. I know they saw me because I waved at them, smiled at them, but nope. But most of the time, I would say most of the time they always, talk to me or, so I don't know.
People are weird. That's all.
They are.
Well, and I mean, women do have it rough in this hobby. I mean, and I think it's come a long way, but I've seen some ridiculous stuff towards women in this hobby. It's just, I don't know, like.
Yeah, I had a guy comment on one of my videos just yesterday, I think, in fact it was. He said, funny seeing a chick, dig coins and relics. I'm thinking, okay, it's funny. You get some weird comments from
Yeah,
time to
that's
time.
just, I mean, there's so much rude bull crap going on that I don't see it as much as I used to, but you still see it in guys that, I mean, I don't know. God, some men are just stupid. Stupid.
So correct etiquette would be not to say things like that.
Yeah, don't be a
Exactly.
jerk.
Don't be a jerk.
Right. Absolutely. I'm trying to think of anything else. Or is one of you, somebody's monitoring chat. Do we have any more questions or?
I was reading Bill's. He says, Gypsy, you want to really get them right in on a Harley and break out the detector. Sensory overload on the general public. Right? Oh, man.
That's funny. Any more questions?
Selective hearing.
Selective hearing.
Yeah, only hearing metal detecting tones and not, a girl waving at you from the side.
That used to happen to me too on the beach a lot. Well, just in general too. There are times you kind of have to ignore. I used to have, and they still do, when they see a detectorist on the beach a lot. You have people walk up and they're with their friends or whatever, and all of a sudden they're going beep 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 beep, trying to make, I'm like, oh my gosh. I just ignore. Or sometimes they'll say, you get asked, like if you're on a public beach and there are a lot of people walking by, you get asked over and over, what did you just find, Well, you might have just dug a penny. Well, a lot of times, or what did you find? Did you find anything good today? I usually just say, just coins. But yeah, sometimes I have selective hearing because you have the people that say those annoying things sometimes, like what we were talking about earlier. Y'all know what I'm talking
Jeff
about.
wants to know. Yeah, no, the thing was too is so it was just the guy and me. We were there's a river walk like near me with the bottles and things like that, and he was detecting in there. So it was just the two of us. So it wasn't a ton of people. But I agree, if there's a multiple people at the beach or whatnot, and same thing, I've actually seen people throw coins out, pennies and whatnot when they see them, like, bunch of jerks. But Jeff asked, do you always wear headphones in public places?
Yes, you should.
I do.
Yeah,
I do.
you don't want to bother people around you.
And that's why I was saying sometimes I ignore I have that selective hearing, even though I've got my headphones on and I can hear them talking to me. Sometimes I act like I don't hear them because I'm focused on what I'm doing. But I'll sometimes, like if I'm detecting with someone or that I'm wanting to talk with, or or for safety reasons, I will put one of my headphones off to the side, one of the earphones or whatever you want to call them, speakers off to the side, so I can hear the surroundings, because you need to be aware sometimes of your surroundings, as Amanda can attest to. So.
Yeah, and I do the same. I wear headphones. Yeah, and I also turn my pinpointer to vibrate, so that way it's not, every time I dig a hole and use it. Yeah, yep.
You should be wearing headphones anyhow all the time, because you're just going to hear stuff better, and you're going to hear those deeper targets. And when you've got traffic around you or noises, having headphones lets you focus with what's going on, what your detector's doing. And I'll tell you, like, if I forget my pinpointer at home, I'm okay. If I forget my headphones at home, I'm miserable. Yep. I am miserable. It's not
I'm the same way.
Yeah.
I can't hunt hardly without my headphones. The only time I ever will unplug my headphones is if I'm trying to show, with someone and they want to hear, I'm trying to help them or demonstrate.
But you should definitely have headphones.
You should always.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
There's
but definitely,
many reasons to wear the headphones.
Yeah, if you're not going to wear headphones, at least in public, you should. At least in public, when you're around people, or if you're at somebody's house, you don't want them sitting in the house trying to watch TV or have family dinner or whatever, and they're hearing your machine outside. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
And dogs seem to hate it.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why, but I noticed that. Of course, dogs are intuitive anyway. If there's anyone near a property, that's why people have dogs. Well, a lot of people have dogs anyways, an alarm system, or first, warning. So I take stock too, and, the neighbors that have dogs and whatnot, I might have permission at this one place that's woods, right across the street from a house with a dog. So I always, even in that case, even though I'm doing the woods, even just pulling in, the dog can hear me. So
I was just catching up on chat, and Katie said, "Yeah, Jeff pretends like he can't hear me with his headphones on."
Yeah,
oh, that's funny.
Selective hearing there.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about, the selective hearing.
But yeah, also be aware when you have headphones on to your surroundings, because people can sneak up on you, animals and stuff. Yeah,
right.
Be careful.
Also getting to the hunting time of the year too. So if you're out and doing hunting in the woods, remember to start wearing your bright colors.
Right. Not your deer antlers. You don't want to wear deer antlers. Yeah.
Or the one dark shirt with like a little bit of white lettering on it, lettering or whatnot, white lettering. Yeah.
And don't wear the camo.
No. Not a good time.
Oh, gosh. Nope.
And also keep that in mind too if you're public. Like if you're detecting in public woods, like those are also hunting areas. So as much as, you know, you could be also screwing with, that's their only time of the year to be able to do their thing. I keep note of that too. There's a few areas that I know the property owners have given permission. So it's like they only have a few weeks that they can do the hunting. So I know what days hunting's allowed. I know in Maine there's no hunting on Sundays. So I'll try to do most of my detecting at those areas on Sundays.
On Sundays, yeah.
Yeah, you should definitely stay out of the woods you gotta be careful with hunting season for sure. For sure. I walked right up onto a guy in a guy in his tree stand one time. Yeah. But he was on park property. He should not have had a tree stand there. Yeah, none of that.
Yeah. I have a permission that is absolutely no hunting. And, here I am coming down a hill, coming through the forest line, and I see a hunter right in the middle with his bright orange on. And, even with my machine and all my gear on, I spotted him before he spotted me. And he was still making his way up the hill. And finally I had to, I gave a whistle. And he spotted me, and he immediately started booking it off the property. So
that's good instead of a confrontation or something.
Y'all just reminded me. That's another reason why it's always good to, alert the property owner that you're heading to their property. Because one time I text, and they were a good friend of mine. They were a friend I worked with, and I text both of them and let them know, hey, I'm headed to your property, around, let them know that I'm heading that direction. And the next thing you know, I get this text, 5 minutes later, I've already, got my mindset already halfway there, and oops, don't go because our guy that does the deer hunting is pulling up to the property right now. I'm like, oh, crap. But, yeah, I definitely don't want to be on the property while there's someone deer hunting or hunting while you're out there detecting. So that's another good reason to always, good etiquette to let the property know, even if they say, oh, you can go out to my property anytime. I just always let them know, regardless. You just never know when something like that could happen.
Yeah, for sure.
And if you are hunting the public parks and the areas that are allowed for hunting, and it's not private property, I know that majority of city halls where you get your licensing for hunting and fishing, they have the books that actually give the dates. So every year I grab one of those, so that way I can throw it on my calendar, and it's like a reminder that, hey, this Saturday is deer hunting season opens, or, whatnot. So I always, each year, go down to the city hall and grab that. So that way I have the newest of what dates are what. So
For sure.
That's
you don't want
smart.
to be, going out, opening shotgun, that could,
Right.
that's
And
like,
what amazes me all the time, more than anything, is the public places I hunt where there is no hunting allowed. How many times do you find bullets or bullet casings? I do all the time.
Everywhere?
On all kinds of property. Everywhere.
It amazes me how many you'll find at a park. Have you found needles in
crazy.
parks?
Yes.
That's horrible.
It's terrible. Horrible. But yeah, it amazes me how I'll go to even a schoolyard and I'm sitting there thinking, and the next target, it turns out to be a bullet or a bullet casing, and it's not all that old. I'm like, how in the world? you know.
I'm probably going to get into a lot of trouble for this.
Uh-oh.
But Mike Fusion, I can't say his last name right. I don't know if it's not Fusion, it's Fusion. I can't, but he's sending me a picture right now. He says, "What do you do when your wife takes her bra off in the car? Wear it." And he sends me
You're
a
in
picture of it on his
Is it
head.
on his head?
Yeah, and they're still in the car. They're in the car, and he said people were laughing their butts off driving by us. Yeah. So I've got that for blackmail for sure.
Uh-oh, he shouldn't have sent it.
Yeah, I'm going to need some hush money. I'm going to need some money to keep this from going viral all over the place. Yeah. We'll see if he's listening in still, because I'm sure he'll be responding soon.
See if he'll responding to that. Going,
oh, there he is.
Yeah.
Few son.
Few
son.
Yeah. I butcher it every time.
We need to come up with a new booby head, maybe. Booby boy. I don't know. We'll come up with something. Yeah, that is funny. That's a good picture. That's the best picture I've seen of you, Mike. Yeah, that's the best picture yet. Oh, that's funny. Jeez.
I love it.
The sad thing is, I think all men do that. Steph will take hers off at home, and I'm like, wham, it's on my head. Why do we do that? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Do we have any more questions? And I don't understand the fascination with boobs. I've never understood it, but I love them. I mean, I love them. I mean, who doesn't like... You know what? I know straight women who like boobs. They just do. They just like boobs. Everybody... I mean, boobs just make the world a better place. They really do. So let's get back on. Yeah, let's get back on. Do we have any more questions? I'm trying to think. Is there anything we didn't cover? We should cover. I don't know.
We'll probably think of something later. That's the way it.
You know, if you're in parks, stay away from other people. You know, try to avoid them. You know, if you got a group of people. You know, there's one park in Columbus, Ohio we used to go to, and a lot of women would lay out, and, you know, stay away from them. Don't go up close detecting to them. Don't get in other people's personal space. You know, follow the landowner's rules. If they tell you to park here, that's where you park. You know, don't be coming out of the woods at midnight or the fields at midnight. You know, get out there at a decent time. You know, another thing that we've kind of touched on, but I think needs to be gone a little bit further. You know, we all have those. We've all gotten those permissions where, yeah, come back anytime. You should check back every year, or even more. Like if I go there in the fall and they're like, come back anytime. Springtime, I'm going to check up with them again. I don't care if that, you know, if they're like, I told you, you know, heck, they could have sold the property over winter, or something could have changed. You know, a really good example, which isn't really a great example. I had permission for this property. I knew that there was a church there before the earliest maps. And I just couldn't find it. Well, before I knew it, snow was flying. I called him in early spring, and I was so excited. It was my number one spot that I was looking forward to. I'm in a church that predates the earliest map. That's going to be good in Ohio. And it's out in a field. Yeah. And he didn't want me on the property. And he was super nice. But over the winter, their barn got broken into. One of their trucks got stolen. They had a bunch of damaged corn. They think the kids drove into the field and had a party, and so he just was done. He goes, "Hey, I appreciate. I mean, couldn't have been nicer." But can you imagine if I wouldn't have called him and I just would have went out there? He'd probably been pretty upset. He was a very nice guy, and but you should check in regularly and make sure you still have the permission. Make sure nothing's changed.
Exactly.
Don't leave trash. Don't drive into fields. Even if it's dry, you don't drive out into farm fields. If they give you explicit permission or say, yeah, go drive out, and you can drive through that field, don't go tearing it up. Don't go, four-wheeling. If it's even damp, stay out of it. Walk it. I've never personally driven into a field. I have a friend who has. His good friend's a big farmer. He's like, yeah, you can drive out there. It's it's so dry. You're not going to hurt anything. Go ahead. I mean, if it's a situation like that, other than that, walk. And if you're on a lane or something and there's a chance they'll be in the fields, get out of everybody's way. I've been down lanes before that just go out into the field and, pull off to the side if you can, or if somewhere there's, I couldn't tell you how many times you go back a lane and then it just opens up a little bit, like for them to turn around and stuff. Pull out of everybody's way. Don't make them come hunt you down to move your vehicle and stuff. What else? Carry your stuff out, of course. Don't leave any trash. Don't throw any trash down. Don't. What else? Do we cover everything? Is it night time, or what do we got?
I think we covered most of it. I mean, we might have forgotten something, but we can always.
I think Amanda fell
touch
asleep.
on
I bet she's like, oh yeah, I do like boobs. I bet she's Googling boobs right now, looking at boobs. Wait, you know how quiet she got after I said boob? Like, she just got real quiet.
Her face probably turned red.
Probably. Because she's like, oh my God, does Mike know I'm looking at boobs right now? Oh my goodness. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm totally kidding. Yeah. I don't know. We'll have to take a little head count sometime. How many guys have put their wife's bra on top of their head? I bet every single one has. I will bet you. I will almost bet you. Jeff Geary said cone head. So, yeah, we should probably, because I'll just start. I got everything out I want to say, so I will just start talking about boobs. So let's, you two got anything else? Or are we going to wrap it up, or are we going to talk about boobs?
I
think.
How about you, Amanda? You embarrassed her.
I'm sorry.
But are you, though?
Well, if I embarrassed you,
no,
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I apologize.
I wouldn't expect you to be. It's all right.
I apologize.
Nothing. They're part of human anatomy.
Right, the best part.
Nothing.
The best part. Yeah. Katie said closing time. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. I think I'm gonna get off here and Google boobs, see what pops up. Yeah. It doesn't matter how many boobs you've seen, you never get tired of looking at boobs. Never. And you're never going to see a pair of boobs you're like, I don't like those.
What you're going to be dreaming about tonight. So.
You'll never see a pair that you're like, I didn't like those. No, everybody likes boobs.
On a side note, Gypsy, I can't wait to meet you on Friday.
I know.
And anyone else that's going to New York, should be a fun time. I'm honestly counting down.
Every chance you get while you're detecting, just look over to man and go boobs. Boobs. Watch your face get all bright. Hey, Mike just said boobs. Yeah.
Bill found it on Wikipedia for you, Mike, so you can check that out. That'll give your homework for tonight.
red-footed booby. It's a bird. I didn't know that. See, look what you learn stuff when you start researching boobs. Awesome. Okay, let's wrap it up. I'm so excited for you two to get together, and I hope you have a blast. And Gypsy, I hope you find some cool old stuff. And I'll tell you though, Amanda, you got to bring your A game because she will run you ragged. It'll be dark and 22 degrees, and she'll be like, let's stay another hour. If we turn the headlights on, we can get another hour or two in. Yeah, she's pretty hardcore. She don't mess around. She's all business when it comes to metal detecting. Absolutely. So you two will have a blast, and I'm excited to hear about it. So keep in touch with me if you can. You know, like a text every now and then would be great, or a message, hey, we found this, or Gypsy found that. Gypsy really hasn't had a chance to hunt in such an old place. Have you, Gypsy? She done left. She's Googling boobs.
No. That's what it's going to be like. So do you need a text every once in a while of boobs, or?
No, text me well, you could. I mean, no, send me text if Gypsy finds something cool and old, or you find something.
Oh, yeah,
she
absolutely.
just doesn't have the opportunity usually, and I know she's so excited. And looking forward to hearing how she's doing.
Yeah, that reminds me. I gotta tell her to bring her rain gear. It looks like after the big hunt this weekend, it's gonna be raining. So
she lost her signal. She's gone. You better tell her that. But yeah, she she needs to dress more. She's a Texas girl. Yeah.
I have a couple extra. I'm bringing a couple extra layers, and I also bought an entire box of those feet and hand warmers. So,
nice.
I figure push come to shove, we can electric tape them to her, or
right.
keep her warm. So.
Yeah, she's definitely not used to the cold. So you'll probably get some good funny stories out of that. She'll probably you'll have to help her dig her targets or something. She'll have so many layers on, or who knows. Good chance. But okay, let's wrap it up. And I'm really looking forward. If you do get a chance, if either of you, I'd love updates. If you can, you don't even have to respond back because I'll be excited. But hey, Gypsy found this, or we found that, or we had a good day. I would so appreciate it. If not, I understand. It's all about metal detecting. But I hope you two have a blast and have a good time at Pound the Ground. And,
thanks. Yeah, I'll definitely write some stuff down, so maybe we can create a nice article for November.
Yes, that would be awesome. Oh, one other thing before we go, one other thing I wanted to say was boobs. Just wanted to say boobs one last time. So good night, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm sorry I got booby trapped or booby sidetracked. I apologize, but everybody have a good night, and Matt and I will be on tomorrow night. Good night, everybody.
Good night.